Hey guys, what is going on? It's your boy Anod from Anod Gaming, and I wanted to talk about the three main trading card games: Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon. And someone had asked or DM'd me on Instagram and said, "Hey, I want to get into a trading card game. Which one should I get into? Because I know nothing about them." Well, that's what this video is for, and so I'm going to be answering that question right after the intro. So without further ado, roll the intro. Thank you for joining us today on the Anod Gaming channel. Please remember to drop a like, hit subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and if you are interested in any merchandise, or as you young kids call it, merch, please click the link below. It would make me so happy. Now, on with the video. Thank you again. Okay, so first off, we are going to start off with which is the easiest to learn, or we're going to go from easiest to hardest to learn. So we're going to start off with one that might surprise you, with Magic the Gathering being the easiest to learn. Now there are many reasons for this, and we will talk about them once I'm done listing them. Number 2 is Yu-Gi-Oh! That may also surprise you. Once again, I'll talk about it in a second. And the hardest one to learn is probably Pokemon. At least it was for me. Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Can switch around depending on the person. But honestly, the hardest one to learn is Pokemon. So, with Magic the Gathering, it's easy. You learn the phases you learn your turn phases, you learn the types of cards, and the main abilities of cards, like Flying, Trample, Lifelink. After that, it's plain sailing. Like, pretty much, if you know the basics, you know how to play Magic. That's how that one works. Now with Yu-Gi-Oh, however, that one could be kind of tricky. So the cool thing about Yu-Gi-Oh, though, is that it tells you exactly what every single card does on the card. So if a card says, search for blah blah blah, guess what? When you play that card, you can search for that. And with Yu-Gi-Oh, there are archetypes. So certain cards work better together than other cards would because they're meant to work together. There's archetypes like Shaddolls, Salamandrates, all that stuff, which basically means if you play Salamandrates, your cards search out other Salamandrate cards and give benefits to those cards. So Yu-Gi-Oh, it's hard to follow. Like if your opponent's playing a deck that you've never seen, and they're just going off and have like 5-minute long turns, it's hard to follow. Listen, I kind of play it low-key competitively. I can't focus when my opponent is taking their turn. I legit will zone out, and then they'll be like, response, and I'll be like, what? Sorry, yeah, no response. Anyway, so with Yu-Gi-Oh, you need a little bit more knowledge than the basics, but also with Yu-Gi-Oh, there's a lot to learn. So that's another reason why I got stuck in number 2, because even though you can play if you know the basics, it's hard to learn, or it's like there's a lot to learn, and it's kind of hard to focus on what other people are doing. But for the most part, it's not that hard. And finally, for Pokemon, the thing that makes it the hardest to learn is it is not like how you played it as a kid. And if you didn't play it as a kid, it's not like what you would think. So they have life point, or they have like health up in the top right. Yeah. Then they do damage. Okay, that seems easy. And then you use energy to allow them to attack by putting them on the Pokemon. Okay, that seems easy enough. But then, if you look down in the very bottom, there's resistances, weaknesses, retreat costs, and then there's also other abilities on the actual Pokemon, and they're usually like highlighted in red. Like, I think one of them's like Power Bubble, and it like protects your Pokemon from an attack, or like one attack, and then you can use it like every 3 turns. With Pokemon, there's just a bunch of random things, and then not every type is weak to its opposite type. Not all water are weak to electric, like the video games would lead you to think, or the anime. Not all rock types are weak to water. It all depends on each card. And so for that, I give Pokemon the hardest one to learn. So yeah, now on to thing two. Um, how much money are you willing to spend? So we will go from cheapest to most expensive. All right. At number one, the cheapest one to buy into is Pokemon. Number two, the cheapest one, or the second cheapest, is Magic the Gathering. And third, that's four. And third, I don't know what I was doing. And third, the most expensive one is Yu-Gi-Oh! So there is, oh my goodness, you can get into each game for cheap, but if you want to play competitively, you're going to need to fork up some of that green. Alright? In Pokemon, you can actually just buy one or two structure decks and be fine to play in like a local tournament. Legitimately. I'm not joking. With Magic the Gathering, do not buy the structure decks. But buying cards, like single cards, can be cheap as long as you know how to do it properly. And also there are multiple different formats, which means there are multiple different costs for each format. Sure, if you play the Legacy format in Magic the Gathering, sure, you're paying $100 per card. That's expensive. If you're playing Pauper, though, which is a format with all common cards, you're paying probably around 20 or like 10 to like maybe $70 max on those decks. And those decks never rotate out of the format because Pauper is not a rotating format. But Standard, however, which is what most people play, Standard and Modern, does have rotations. And so like every 2 years, your decks will rotate out of the format and you can't play those and you can only play with new cards. So that's why I'm putting Magic right in the middle. And finally, the most expensive is Pokemon. Or not Pokemon, sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh! While you can just buy 3 structure decks and have an alright deck, one that's not going to get you tons of wins, but will get you enough, or will get you like maybe 1 win a night, maybe. It is the most expensive game. So I'm trying to build a dinosaur deck, right? One of the cards that is mandatory for the deck, some of the other ones aren't as mandatory, like hand traps. One of the cards that is mandatory for the deck is $50 a card. And when it came out, it was $75 a card. So, and I need 3 of them. 3. Trace, count them. Some of the other cards, they're the hand traps, they're like $30 a piece, $40 a piece. It's effing expensive. Like, insanely expensive. So, that is why Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the most expensive out of the 3. The easiest to get into is the next section. So, the easiest to get into, you can basically buy cards, be fine, or like buy pre-built decks and be fine. First off is Pokemon. If you buy 1 or 2 of the same structure deck in Pokemon, you can build a pretty decent deck, and I've done it. In fact, one of my decks, which I have won tournaments with, is just made out of 2 different structure decks. Yeah. The next one, though, is Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you can buy, always buy 3 copies of a structure deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! But you can buy 3 structure decks, and guess what? You can make a deck from that. Perfect. And it's a pretty decent deck, too. My Salamangreat deck, I didn't upgrade it for, 2 months. And guess what? I won a couple of Wednesday night Yu-Gi-Ohs. Just saying. And the hardest one to just go buy a deck with, unless you're playing the format Commander, is Magic the Gathering. You do not buy any pre-built Magic the Gathering decks, except for the Commander structure decks. Those are the only ones that I will justify buying. That's it. That's all I had for this section. Alright, so let's talk about which one is right for you. If you enjoy a childish type of just fun experience that you can have with anyone of any age, Pokemon is by far the best for that personality type, okay? Pokemon is so much fun to play for everyone. Kids, grown-ups, old people. I've played it with all three. And it's always fun to play with. Or to play with people. Maybe, or let's see. Let's say you are, you're not like childish, but you kind of want to get, you're kind of like, hey, the fantasy is really cool, and sci-fi, and just, maybe you're just a real, like just nerd. Maybe you're just like, fantasy is really cool, but I'm not like a kid, so I don't want to be like Pokemon. Well, try Magic the Gathering. Guess what? There's magic. There's giant dudes that beat the crap out of each other. There's ways to there are vampires and werewolves and angels and demons. There's massive robots. There's little elves. It's Magic the Gathering is awesome. And guess what? Maybe you've played D&D. Maybe you want to play D&D. Guess what? They're made by the same company. Guess what? They also take place in the same universe. Magic the Gathering is like a card game, or is like Magic the Gathering and D&D, while they're not even close to the same thing, they have the same stuff. So if you're like fantasy, yes, play Magic the Gathering. No, I swear, do it. But maybe you like chess. Maybe you like to focus. Maybe you have maybe your mind is just maybe you're so big-brained that you want to go off and have 5-minute turns each. Maybe you want to make sure that that you can always, play the biggest dude on the field. Maybe you like to lock your opponent out of playing anything. Maybe you're a little bit toxic, or you like it when other people are like kind of toxic, or that's a bad example. I know. Maybe you're just like, I don't know. I don't like the fantasy of Magic, and I don't like the childishness of Pokemon. But hey, I want the kind of anime, really cool adult feel of Yu-Gi-Oh! Well, Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like, between all three of the games, I would say Yu-Gi-Oh! Is the most adult. Like, if we were to go through like a human life cycle of the card games, I would say Pokemon is like when you're a kid. Magic the Gathering is like when you're like a teenager to like young adult type of a deal, and then like Yu-Gi-Oh! Is like for the adults. That's how I would say it, but it all depends on your personality type. But yeah, that's all for that one. If you guys would like to learn how to get into these card games and like what decks to buy, I have videos. I have tons of videos. Mostly Magic the Gathering, but I have a couple of Yu-Gi-Oh! I have like 1 or 2 Pokemon. I'm going to start doing more Pokemon videos because I'm going to start buying more Pokemon cards. But yeah, if you want to learn how to play the games, you can play online for free. You can go buy cards with friends. You can go to tournaments. You can go to your local game store. But all that matters is that you have fun. And hey, maybe you don't like the 3 card games that I've named. Guess what? There are so many different card games. It's like Rule 34 of the internet, except for not inappropriate, but like card games. There's a My Little Pony trading card game, which I own. There's a Dragon Ball Z card game. I own some cards for that. There are so many. There's an Assassin's Creed one. I know Game of Thrones has one. There are so many different trading card games for so many different people. Go out and explore the world of trading card games. Maybe you don't want to play the games. Maybe you just want to buy trading cards. Maybe you like sports, and so you're like, I don't want to do that. Guess what? There are baseball cards, football cards, soccer cards. Go do you. And that will wrap it up for today's video. So, thank you all so much for watching. I am Anarch from Anarch Gaming. Please go check out the merch. Remember, once a month, we have a custom playmat that comes out for you guys, just for that month. And guess what? Playmats, they're essential for card games because you don't want your cards to get dirty. So, go check out the link down below, and please smash the like button, hit subscribe, and hit that bell for notifications. I hope you guys had a really fun time, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye!